Well, world, it is Wednesday, February 8th, 2023, and looking out the window at Defiance. It is trying to be a nice day. There's a little bit of clouds and sunshine. Um, Kind of chilly. It was in, I think, 27 when I started running this morning, and I think the high is going to be about 42, so not quite as warm as yesterday. But I think I saw that tomorrow maybe 60. Um, anyway, back to our devotion. Our devotion entitled today is My Father Also, written by Matt Laney, and Matt bases the devotion upon the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 19, New Revised Standard Version. They said to Jesus, "Where is your Father?" And Jesus answered, "You know neither me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also." And then Matt writes, "My father died in 1999 while I attended a 3-month retreat at Plum Village Monastery. When I returned to the monastery after the funeral, Thich Nhat Hanh said to me, 'Your father is in you. Practice breathing with your father.' Many Christians believe Jesus is God. My view is more nuanced because Jesus never directly claimed to be God. Jesus occasionally affirmed unity with God, as in the verse above. He affirmed his pre-existence when he said, before Abraham was, I am," which some view as Jesus using the divine name for himself. However, the Greek does not fully support that conclusion. More often, Jesus distinguished himself from God, putting himself on a lower tier. In John 14:28, Jesus said, "The Father is greater than I am." In Matthew, Mark, and Luke, a questioner addressed Jesus as good teacher. Jesus replied, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone." Such passages are difficult to reconcile with Orthodox views of the Trinity. I believe Jesus knew the Father was in him. He breathed with the Father, but he stopped short of saying, "I am the Father," or "I am God." Union with God resists easy explanations. But trust this, dear reader, the Father Creator is also in you. Practice breathing with your Father Creator. That is everything. And the prayer. As I breathe in, I know you are one with me. As I breathe out, I know I am one with you. May we all be one. And for me, a couple of things this devotion brings to mind is how complex the Bible is in trying to understand it. Scholars can't agree on things. I was just reading a article in the Christian Century about the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition that just came out last year. And they're talking to the people who were involved in the process of editing it and coming out with this new edition. And one of the things they talked about was how different editors were working, and they would come up with suggested changes, and then a large group of them, I think there were 50, would all have to discuss them, the changes, and agree to them. Some of them they adopted, some of them they didn't. But they had to discuss them and come to an agreement as to whether to include it or not. So it's hard to say what's in there is the end all and the be all and what we really know. And all too often what we think we're reading in the Bible is we're reading into it the things that we've been told about those passages or taught about those passages. So we're bringing tradition into it, as well as our own cultural biases and influences and language. Language usage changes over time. So the language we use today is different than the language we used 100 years ago, even though it's still English. It just makes understanding the Bible so much more difficult to say that this is what it says, end of story, because there's a lot of questions. I think the more important thing is to be one with God, as Matt kind of implies in this passage, unity with God. And I think that's an important topic, especially I think some of my own biases are that one of the ways in which eternal life plays out is that we become one with God again, and it becomes so overwhelming that really nothing else matters. Scientifically, there's also some things there that kind of fit into my scientific brain, but that's me reading the text from my perspective, and we all do that. Hope you have a good day, and hope to talk to you again soon.